Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. You want me to talk about the market? I'll talk about the market. I'll go off unscripted. I'll go for everything that I see, just all at one setting. Let's look at SP 500. SPY is the index fund for that. You're talking about really over the last 7 years or so, since 2018, you've had three crashes, right? One over here, which is when Trump declared tariffs against China, one over here during COVID, and then a third one over here around 2022 during this taper tantrum, if you will, right? The entire time for the last 7 years, we've endured a lot. So you're talking about basically terror conflicts with China. Everybody gets super scared about that. Matter of fact, the US market actually held up pretty well. The Chinese market didn't as a result. That's a different story for a different time. We endured COVID shutdowns, basically talking about the economy just shutting down for a few weeks. Nobody knows what the heck is going on. Nobody knew whether or not it was going to be okay or not. You have presidential election disputes. Somebody was actually not willing to transfer power. You have the Russian-Ukraine conflict, which, by the way, is still going on. You have the nuclear threats, which, by the way, arguably is still going on, but nobody cares about that anymore for some reason. You had the Middle East conflict, oil concerns, which just magically went away. And when those things were happening, oil actually did really well. You had Pelosi went to Taiwan, which apparently was supposed to be a pretty big deal, but nobody remembers that anymore. Nobody cares. Highest inflation over the last 4 to 5 decades. Nobody cares. Fastest rate hike by the Federal Reserve. Nobody cares. Michael Berry says sell. Nobody remembers that anymore. So despite all that, what did the stock market do? It just kept going higher. From the bottom of 2018, SPY was around 234. Right now, we're in the middle of 2024. Right now, the SPY has gone more than 100%. It has gone way up. If you were listening to all these bearish narratives, and all these bearish narratives actually have a lot of merit. Like all those things I just mentioned, they're not child's play. They're actually some pretty concerning things, right? But you're really talking about price went from the bottom of 2018 all the way up to now. The stock market, the S&P 500 went up 136%. Like, imagine being bearish because you're thinking about the Great Reset's going to come. It just kept going up higher. Does it look like it wants to keep going higher? So this is a weekly chart. What I'm showing here, I'm showing you two indicators here. One is the bull market support band, which is the 21-week exponential moving average, and the 20-week simple moving average forming a band, which is the yellow band right there. And you also have another band underneath of it. This is the SMA band, which is the 20-week SMA and the 50-week SMA. And I basically just using that as kind of show you what has been happening throughout history. It just keeps going higher and higher. Now, this is the dot-com bubble. This is the Great Financial Crisis. But after a Great Financial Crisis, something big has happened, which I don't think anybody should ever forget. Big banks can't fail anymore. They're going to print as much money as they can to make sure big banks don't fail. So guess what happens? Risk on. Risk on for how long? For about 15 years now. You have a little bit of a major dip here and there. They're talking about like Greece was going to go default back then. Like, who cares? Anyway, just look at, I drew these arrows here. You don't really need these arrows. I'm going to take these arrows away. Whenever you have a bull market that's been going on after you have a pretty significant bear market that went on for anywhere from like a year to a year and a half, you end up getting another 2 to 3 years of bull market, right? It just keeps on going up. Like over here, this bull market really lasted from like 2012 all the way to like the middle of 2015. It's like 3.5 years. Over here, you have a pretty decent bull market that lasted from middle of 2016 to middle of 2018, so another 2-year bull market over here. Here, you got a little bit of truncation, like a year bull market, another 2 years of bull market. And right now, we've just gone through 3 crashes in the last 7 years. This is not typical. You're not going to expect crashes every other year. Like, this is not what the market does. The fact that we've already had 3 crashes over the last 7 years tells us that maybe a lot of stuff has already been baked in. Nobody cares about anything anymore. They just want to push the stock market higher. And you know why that is? Because the money supply keeps on going up higher. They just keep printing money. And you know why they keep printing money? It's because they're trying to fight deflationary forces over the years. You have all this money printing without any significant inflation going on for a very, very long time until something crazy like COVID happened, when the rate of printing has basically gone berserk, right? This is unusual, right? But overall, the trend is going back to where it was before. And guess what's happening right now? Everybody's talking about quantitative tightening. Why isn't people talking about quantitative easing? Why isn't anybody talking about that? You have printing money, the M2 supply in the US, breaking above the SMA ribbon, breaking above the bull market support band. It wants to go higher. The trend is higher, has a very, very nice rounded bottom over here. It wants to go higher. Why do people talk about rates? Why do people care about rates higher for longer? What are rates doing? Rates look like it wants to roll over, doesn't it? It looks like it broke underneath the bull market support band and broke underneath this SMA ribbon. And it's just back testing. It's a hard time pushing through, right? This is a 2-year yield, by the way. The 10-year yield's doing the same thing. Yields look like they want to stay lower for longer. A lot of people also saying that, whenever rates go down is whenever you have a bear market. Like, there's actually no proof of that. The only thing that really matters is global liquidity. Let's look at the market. Let's go back to the market. SPY, what is it doing right now? This is a weekly chart, right? Does it look bullish? Yeah. Is it overextended? Sure. Can it stay overextended for a long time? Sure. It's been staying overextended over here in this bull market for a long time. It's been staying overextended for this big giant bull market over here for a very long time. It stayed way above the SMA ribbon, way above the bull market support band here for months and months and months at a time, and then eventually you just kind of tap, and it just keeps going higher, and they just keep tapping it. Sometimes it breaks underneath of it, and then it found support, and it goes back up higher. Sometimes it tests the 50 underneath over here, but it found support and it goes higher until it starts to roll over, until the trend exhausts. You have a little bit of ABC correction over here, and it just keeps on wanting to go up higher. Can you imagine, like, if we were like right here, and you're worried about the crash over here? Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine that happening? Anyway, so that's SPY, right? Let's look at the other indexes. Let's look at NASDAQ, QQQ. Does it look scary to you? Yeah, it looks like it's overextended. But again, it can keep getting overextended for a very, very long time, right? I want you to burn this picture in your head. I want you to burn this picture in your head. I want you to burn this picture in your head. This is the M2 money supply by the US. It does nothing but goes up, right? So I just want you to know, like, a lot of people are scared. And I just want to let you know that a lot of people are scared about things. They talk about things on the news. They talk about oil going up. It's been doing nothing but forming a symmetrical triangle. Like, it's done absolutely nothing for close to 2 years now. It has done nothing. Does it look like it potentially go up higher? It could. There's a possibility. If the economy does well, you actually want oil to not plummet. Does it mean that inflation from oil is going to go a lot higher? No. There is going to be a period of time where oil goes up a lot higher. That doesn't necessarily mean that the inflation is going crazy, right? Right now, oil prices have just been going sideways. Like, nobody even cares about that anymore. The US dollar, sideways, trendless, right? What happened the last time where it became trendless? It became trendless over here for a few years. It went down, went up, nobody cared. Bitcoin just kept going higher. What are some of my favorite stock doing? I can even talk about that. Palantir, where is it doing? It's going up. Does it look like it wants to keep going up based on the look of this ribbon? Yes, right? You look at a Bollinger Band, what is it doing? It's squeezing. It looks like it wants to squeeze higher. It is ridiculous, right? Where's another stock that I generally like to look at? NVDA. Where's NVDA doing? It's way overextended. It wants to come back down, maybe a little bit closer to these ribbons before going up higher. But does it look like it wants to keep going higher? You betcha. The Bollinger Band squeeze over here, it looks like it's expanding. It looks like it wants to go higher over time. It can remain getting overextended like this for quite some time whenever it wants to do that. It wants to do that. It wants to keep going up for years and years and years. This bull trend lasted for like 6 years. And right now the trend looks like it wants to keep going up. And remember when people were talking about these bad crashes where it just crashed from like, $7 over here down to like $3.50, or 3.1 or something like that. Yeah, but prices over here was like 50 cents. Anyway, I just want to show you these kinds of things. Another stock that I want to talk about, just real quick, because we're just talking about the market in general. Tesla. What is Tesla doing right now? Well, Tesla has just been going sideways. Can you blame it going sideways after completely exhausting this bull trend over here? They basically made all these forward gains over here in just the matter of like a year and a half, 2 years, right? When's the last time this happened? What did it do? It went sideways for a few years. Now we've gone sideways for a few years. What does price look like it wants to do right now? Just looking at the SMA ribbon, looking at the bull run support band, it reclaimed the bull run support band. Looks like it wants to hit up here, maybe get rejected around 200, maybe get rejected up here around 210, right? But it's trying. It looks like it's trying for a little bit of a trend reversal like it did over here, right? So far, I'm not really seeing anything bad about it. What is Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin looks like it wants to go higher. Ethereum, what does Ethereum wants to do? Ethereum looks like it wants to go higher too. I don't know like what else to say with the bearish narrative except that we have gone, quote, too far, too fast, and we've gone way too far, way too fast, and we've gone up for like a decade and a half, and that's why we have to crash. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I follow the trend. I do what the trend tells me, and right now the market says that we want to go higher. That's what the market is telling me. Anyway, I'll see whether or not if there's any potential warning signs that could come. One warning sign is, again, if you look at the weekly chart, if you look at this SMA ribbon over here, you know how scary this was? Because it broke underneath this ribbon, right? Just like it did over here. But guess what didn't happen? What didn't happen is the ribbon didn't end up contracting, and we didn't end up getting rejected over here at the ribbon. It just kept going up higher. I would say that one warning sign to look for in terms of the market top, which I don't think we're anywhere near it, if you ask for a cat's opinion, I would say that I would worry about a market top if it breaks underneath this SMA ribbon, not immediately after it thickens, but later on, right? At least like a year or two. If it breaks underneath that ribbon, and if it back tests, and instead of back testing and just push up through above, if it calls some kind of like a trees or top kind of look over here, and it breaks below, and it back tested again and it fails, that's probably when I would sell, right? COVID is a different story. This really is a flash crash. Like nobody really knew where the bottom was. But over here, 2018, what did it do? It broke underneath the ribbon, back tested it, right? Well, I mean, like over here is a pretty bearish look. It looks like one time to go down again, back tested again, right? Could this be it? Well, the ribbon's actually pointing down at this point. I think this would have been a good sell point, so you can avoid drop from like 280 all the way down to like 230, right? If you want to time the market. Over here is a little bit different, but you can see that even when it happens, you can see that there's a little bit of trend exhaustion. And when things broke down underneath the SMA ribbon, it back tested again, didn't it? And when it failed to hold, I guess you could have sold over here and try to rebuy over here, or you can just keep holding. I think you've been okay. It's not always easy to time the market, but I'm not seeing any of those potential warning signs right now. It looks like it just wants to go higher. So just follow the trend, guys. I'm done talking. Have a good one. Bye.